Hello and welcome back to another episode of Delete Later with me, your host Fiza. Dan hari ini kita akan melakukan hal-halnya sedikit beda ya, bisa dibilang. Today we don't actually have a special guest, but it'll just be me here today sharing with you. So for today's episode, I wanted to share a little bit about, aku belum tahu sih actually the title for this, tapi aku mau, maybe working title-nya bisa all the woo-woo things that I do on my day-to-day life, which I think really helps with everything and helps with improving my mental well-being, my happiness, my health, and just overall quality of life. So, well, let's just get started then. The number one thing that I implemented that I think has actually made a really big change in my life is EFT tapping. Why do I think it's kind of such a big important factor? Well, if you're somebody that hates meditating, then I think you need to give EFT tapping a try because it has a lot of the same benefits as so. But what I really like about EFT tapping is that actually, if you're like me and you're somebody who can be very, very anxious, so all the time your thoughts are racing, your mind cannot stay still. So when you just try to meditate, it feels almost kind of just backfiring a little bit because you find it so difficult and your mind just cannot stay still. EFT tapping actually kind of works with this so that you can actually make the change and kind of battle your own thoughts in a way that's more productive, I would say. So to do EFT tapping, if you're listening on Spotify, maybe you won't even actually be able to see, but what you kind of do, I'll show in the video here for YouTube, is that you just tap on to different points. So these are actually based on principles of acupressure, and there are different points in the body where you can actually, if you tap on them and if you release it, then it can help to release also a lot of stress and a lot of tension in your body. So for example, that would include the top of your head. So you could tap on the top of your head like this. That includes also the side of your temples like that. I like to tap on my eyelids too, but they say that this is not actually one of the acupressure points that is usually used in EFT tapping. But for me personally, that is what I like to do. On the top of your lip, on your collarbones, throughout. There are many different points. And I think this is one thing that really made a change because it really helped me to calm down my nervous system a lot and really helped to regulate it. Another thing that they actually propose for when it comes to EFT tapping is that it can help to release energy blockages which are believed to cause negative emotions. So if you do this, then you're actually releasing a whole base of emotions and you're just regulating your nervous system back to the baseline level. So that's one thing that I implement. The second thing that I will say that I implement, which has really helped me and my overall confidence level, is having this sort of ritual with my makeup every single morning. So whenever I'm getting ready, what I like to do is I take my makeup product. So for example, let's say this is my makeup product. What I like to do at the beginning is I like to tap it onto my heart. So 1, 2, 3, as so. I tap it first. And then when I apply my makeup, I actually like to speak an affirmation into mine. So for example, let's say I am applying blush on. This is gonna sound a little bit crazy, a little bit woo to a lot of people. But as I'm applying my blush on, I will tell myself, as I apply this blush on, I am becoming my most beautiful self. As I apply this blush on, I am becoming my most confident self. As I apply this blush on, I am getting closer one day to my hopes and dreams. It's a really simple ritual which kind of sets the tone for the rest of the day, I find. Does this actually work? That, I don't know. I really don't know, but I find that it's something that really helps to set the tone for the rest of the day. And I find myself feeling better about myself. And ultimately, when you feel better about yourself, you make better choices, which can lead to a better reality for you and your future self. And also now continuing again from the point of affirmations, I want to touch on robotic affirmations. Robotic affirmations, I think, have made one of the biggest changes for me and in terms of controlling my thoughts and controlling my mental state. The others are more of, let's say, holistic therapeutic things, whereas this one has made a direct impact, which I can say that I had to take control of myself. It wasn't something that created kind of like a more relaxed day or something that kind of created a more overall well-being, but more of helping me control my thoughts and kicking and choosing what I wanted. So when it comes to robotic affirmations, what you basically do is whenever you are, let's say, for me, how I practice it at least, is let's say whenever you are having a not so great thought. Let's say you are trying to manifest something and you're trying to manifest, let's say in this case, is the job of your dreams. Now, maybe every single day you're thinking to yourself, why don't I have the job? Am I not good enough for a job? Will I never get a job? Am I this not good enough? When you are thinking these things, instead of just letting yourself constantly spiral, because that's what often happens with us, that we think these thoughts and then in the end we just end up crashing out severely and thinking the whole time and finding ourselves down this rabbit hole when we can actually put a stop to it. So what I do is robotic affirmations. What I do is when I'm having these thoughts, I immediately stop myself and I think, no, I have the job of my dreams. I am living the life of my dreams. I have everything that I want. I am so blessed. I am so abundant. I think all these things to myself, and whether or not it happens, I don't actually care, because just saying it by itself is already enough to calm you down. A lot of times what you actually want isn't really, for example, let's say when it comes in this sense, let's say the idealization of the job, that's not really what you want. What you want is the sense of security that a job gets you. You want, let's say, the freedom a better job can have you to give you. You want maybe a sense of worthiness in the job. All these things are things that you can give to yourself, and you can do that through giving yourself affirmations. And with these affirmations, honestly, you're also moving yourself towards a better reality of achieving it. Because when you feel safe, when you feel secure, that's how you can also make a change. That's how you're also working towards your G apply. Whether you want to look at a woo-woo way or a scientific point of way. When you look at it in a little bit of a woo-woo way, we could say, obviously with manifestation principles, we know that if you do not believe it, it will never be yours. If you're on a low vibrational level, then you will never achieve the high vibrations of your dreams. Sorry about that. If you are on a low vibrational level, you'll never achieve your high vibrational self and your high vibrational hopes and dreams. Now, when we look at it from the scientific point of view, if you keep constantly beating yourself down and you keep thinking negatively to yourself, what's that going to do? What is that going to do for yourself? Think about it. When, let's say we have person A and person B, one person believes that he can achieve anything, believes that he can do anything, while the other person doesn't. Now, let's say they both have the same skill sets. They both have the same talents. They have everything to say. It's just that one has confidence, one doesn't. The person with confidence is automatically going to achieve more because they are confident. Why? Well, let's say the less confident person. There is a job interview open for the next day. Both of them are qualified for it, but your confidence might hinder you back from not even applying to that job from the first place. Your lack of confidence might hinder you from even making the first step. You're more likely to take action when you believe and when you have the confidence to do so, which is why it's so important to constantly affirm to yourself that you are worthy, that you can do it. Because without these affirmations, then oftentimes the first step never happens. And when the first step doesn't happen, that's how could anything else happen after that? The first step can be seen as the accelerator. If you do not take it, nothing else can come afterwards. The next thing that I want to talk about is this belief that I've implemented to overall help me understand why I go through and why we as humans go through things that we do. So, oftentimes when hardship happens to us is we have a negative thought immediately. We think to ourselves, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? Oh my God, I hate this. I wish it was done and over with. But really, we need to be looking at it from a different point of view and a different perspective. When hardship happens to us, oftentimes, when we look at an instance, actually, there is no positive or negative instance. There's only the way that we view it. So let's say somebody told you to your face, hey, I don't like you. Why is this considered a negative experience? Of course, it doesn't feel nice. It doesn't feel nice, but we have to think to ourselves, why does this not feel nice? Well, because it makes me feel unwanted. Well, why do you feel unwanted? Well, what made you feel that in the first place? Oftentimes, all these issues, these negative experiences that we have, they're stemming from a certain point of lack that we have. When you're going through something, oftentimes there is a wound from the past that needs to be healed. These wounds need to be healed, and when you are going through something, oftentimes there's a wound from the past that still needs to be healed. So when you are faced with it again, you think to yourself, this is a negative experience. But really, it can also be seen from a neutral point of view. When you view things from a more neutral point of view, you are able to process it more efficiently and think to yourself for better. Because oftentimes there are so many things in the day and you can never control the outcome of it. You can never control what other people think about you. You can never control what results are going to be. You can never control. There's so many different factors that honestly you cannot control. For example, the weather. Right now we're shooting a podcast episode, but it's raining and I cannot control the weather even though I wish I could. Maybe if I use a palette, I could. But the point is, there are so many things that you cannot control. Instead, focus on controlling how you feel. You can control your emotions. So instead of being down and about because it's raining, I thought to myself, you know what? We're still going to power through. We're still going to shoot the podcast. Maybe it won't be as great of an audio quality as it's supposed to be, but we're still going to make a great episode either way. Or think to yourself, when you're faced with this negative experience again, what is it trying to teach me? What do I need to heal? So for example, let's take another instance. For example, let's say maybe you like somebody, they don't like you back. Why does that matter so much? You know, there's like 7 billion people on this earth. Why do you need this one person to like you? And why do you care so much? Of course, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to process and to grieve. But when it comes to you becoming obsessed, that means there's kind of like a certain thought pattern which needs to be healed. So whenever you're faced with a negative experience, look at it deeper because that means there's an unhealed wound that you need to heal. And the last thing, this one's not even woo-woo or anything like that, is actually kind of something more practical that I've implemented, and that is to wake up as early as possible. Now, why is that? So for me personally, I like to wake up at 5 a.m. if I'm busy because I don't know what it is. There has to be something. There are some studies which show that people actually have different circadian rhythms, and some people are more productive in the day, some people are more productive at night. So it really depends. Maybe for you, your productive time's at night. For me, it's early in the morning. Waking up at 5 a.m., I don't know what it is. If I wake up at 5 a.m., I have the most focus for some reason. If I wake up later in the day, for example, like 7, even though 7 is still considered early to some people, I find that I'm not as productive throughout the day. I find that I don't get as much done. I think finding your optimal sleep-wake cycle is something that everybody needs to figure out and find out how to do. And a lot of people think that they're not morning people. A lot of people think that they're not early birds. The thing is, they're just lacking sleep. If you go to sleep at 2 a.m. and you wake up at 5 a.m. and you say, oh, I'm not a morning person, of course you're not a morning person. You had 3 hours of sleep. But if you sleep at the right time, at the right amount, then you can actually figure out, hey, maybe I am a morning person. And if you have done that, but you're still not into it, you're still not feeling it, then maybe you're not. Maybe you work better at night. I know a lot of people, they work better at nighttime and they prefer this. But for me personally, that's not the case. I like waking up early in the morning. I like doing my workouts early in the morning. I would rather do that before I start my day, because if not, then I'm just never going to end up doing it. For everybody, it's different. But finding the optimum time is one of the biggest hacks that you can find to do in your life. And then leading on to morning routines, I also want to add cold showers. I know everybody says this nowadays, cold showers, do cold exposure. But it actually really makes a difference, especially if you kind of struggle with anxiety and you struggle with regulating your nervous system. For me personally, it has helped a lot because when you're in that cold exposure, your body is immediately fighting it. It's thinking, I don't want this. I don't like this. I don't want to like this. But you have to calm down. You have to breathe to yourself and think, okay, it's okay. I'm safe. When you do that, you end up actually controlling yourself. You end up being able to control your thoughts. You're able to control yourself better. And as a result, you have better mental clarity, a more regulated nervous system, and overall, I just feel a lot more relaxed towards the day. A lot of people say that cold showers in the morning also actually help with alertness, whereas warm showers can make you feel sleepy. So it's good to take a warm shower at night before you go to sleep because it cools your body down, which is a fun fact. But yeah, for me, that has been so important. And speaking of sleep, also sleep, everybody preaches about sleep. But having actual proper deep sleep is something not a lot of people understand about. I still feel like people talk about 8 hours of sleep, but if you sleep for 8 hours and you're still waking up throughout multiple times in the night, that's not 8 hours of sleep. You're not getting your deep sleep. So what I really like to help for this, because I, for the longest time of my life, could not sleep. Other people had this problem of being able to sleep too much. I could not sleep. So for me, what I had to do was I had to get kind of like a night mask to block all lights out. And also I started taking my magnesium glycinate. This helped me a lot with regulating the quality of my sleep. And also, as I said before, a warm shower before bed, followed by actually a cold AC, because this cools your body down. And when your body is cool, you are more likely to fall asleep faster, which is kind of also why after you have a really intense workout session, all you want to do is nap. Because after that overheating during the workout, your body works extra hard to cool itself down and brings the temperature way below down also. So all you want to do is take a nap to rest. But yeah, those are some things. Some of them are a little bit woo-woo. Some of them are normal. They're basically science, factual. Things that have kind of just helped me overall improve my quality of life. And that's pretty much all for today. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Thank you all. Bye.